Hello everyone and welcome to Chip and Chase, the NRL Fan Podcast, brought to you by Steve and Dave. Hey Dave.
G'day Steve, how you going?
Doing well. This is episode 7 of the podcast. Today will be our April 10th, 2022 episode. We're going to be reviewing round 5 of the 2022 NRL season and then preview round 6. But it was an interesting weekend of rugby league. I do apologise if there's noise in the background, neighbourhood kids going crazy this afternoon, but hopefully it's not too kind of distracting, but we'll make it work.
Yeah, a lot of controversy this weekend, I think. A lot of weird decisions over the whole weekend, and we mark this week the week of the streak. There were 3 streakers over this round, so yeah.
Yeah, it was a crazy week for, it must have been a full moon or something, because people were out there doing some dumb things and running onto the field. But,
especially the refs.
Yeah, well, that goes without saying. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's start with just some breaking news. Unfortunately for Rabbitohs fans, Latrell Mitchell is out for 8 weeks with a torn hamstring.
You just broke that to me. I didn't hear about that, and mate.
Yeah, it's disappointing for you. I mean, he's one of those players that can do some amazing things and can be an X factor in a game. But Blake Taft's a good fill-in for South, so hopefully he can play his best over the next 8 weeks until Latrell gets back.
Look, I've always thought to win a grand final, you've got to have no injuries. You've got to have a little bit of luck and the bounce of the ball. And players are just dropping left, right, and centre in the first quarter of this competition.
Yeah, it's a crazy comp for injuries again. But let's start with the first game of the round, which was the Thursday night game between the Knights and the Sea Eagles. And in this game, it was Manly just well and truly too good for Newcastle. Although early in the second half, it was only 10-6 in favour of Manly. It wasn't until later in the second half that they really ran away with it, 30-6.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it was really tight up until a young Carl Lawton from dummy half went over, and then the floodgates kind of opened after that. Lachlan Croker was the top tackler of the night with 49 tackles. I was a bit disappointed, Steve, especially with Turbo out and Ponga in. I believe I changed my tip that night to the Knights.
Yes, you did. Yep.
Yeah. And they had nothing. They absolutely had nothing. Credit to the Manly side, who I thought played a really good game. Morgan Harper especially, and Jason Saab out on the wing, I thought was one of Jason Saab's strongest games.
Really? Okay. Because I heard a lot of Supercoach fans complaining that he scored very, very low with his involvements.
Look, he didn't score any points, but I thought all his other efforts were tremendous, all his defensive efforts, some of his reads and stuff like that. So, props out to young Jason Saab.
Manly really played this game smart in that they noticed that Ponga defends up in the defensive line and just put these little grubber kicks in behind the line and caught the Knights out so many times. I mean, I think other than Lawton's try from dummy half, as you mentioned, most of Manly's tries came off little grubber kicks behind the line. And bounce of the ball went their way, and it was smart kicking by mostly Cherry Evans, but their halves are smart and they can read the game really well. So and Ponga was a bit of a disappointment. He went off and on a few times. He just seems to not be as involved. Like, this try was fantastic, but he doesn't seem to be an 80-minute player at the moment.
Yeah, and look, that final score too, I think it didn't exactly tell the story of the game, because Manly just kind of ran away with it in the last 10-15 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, for sure. So that was the game there. Manly beating the Knights 30-6 at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle with a good crowd of 9,472 in pretty poor conditions. All right, so I got that tip right. You got that one wrong. So just making a note of that. All right,
Thanks.
Then we move on to game 2 of the round, and that was the Warriors up against the Cowboys in what was a very close affair. This is the Friday night game at Moreton Daily Stadium in Redcliffe, and 6,254 fans saw a ripper of a game with the Warriors very lucky at the end there with Johnson kicking the field goal to steal the game.
For sure, man. Look, I thoroughly enjoyed this game. I think the best games are when it's just back and forth. The lead changes a few times, and where it's anyone's game up until the last minute. They're always the best games. It was really, really enjoyable game. I think Josh Curran again has tackle count. Curran, with 54 tackles. Drinkwater and Tal Malolo both ran for over 200 metres each. So big running metre game from them too.
Yeah, Tal Malolo had one of his better games. It was more involved. So there's been a bit of criticism around him in the past couple of weeks. But this was just to and fro, as you mentioned. Valentine Holmes missed 2 out of 4 kicks from his conversions, but got 2 extra penalty goals for everything to be level at full time. And then in Golden Point, the Warriors just managed their possessions better, and 2 minutes into extra time, Johnson potted that field goal, and he was quite emotional at the end of the game when there was a bit of a post-match interview. He was like quite emotional, talking about what it's been like getting back in the Warriors team and representing his family, and being away from home, and good to see.
Well, yeah, that's you're talking about Johnson. I've actually got him as my standout player.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's starting to play some really good footy again, especially in that game. Back playing, with his people and for his country. I think, as you just mentioned there, he got a bit emotional and that. So yeah, I can really see him starting to get better and be stronger with the Warriors. So, and he did kick the winning field goal. So good luck to him.
Yeah, exactly. Well done to the Warriors getting over the Cowboys there. Then we push on to the third game of the round, which was the Broncos up against the Roosters. This was played at Suncorp Stadium in front of a bumper, 23,508 fans. Broncos were unlucky in this. They did so well. They had the Roosters on the ropes, and just the class of some of the Roosters players, especially Joey Manu, got them out of some trouble. Really, the only difference here was 4 tries apiece. And you don't usually say this about Adam Reynolds, but it was his goal kicking, missing 2 of 4, that was the difference, because it was 24-20 at the end of the game.
Yeah, something you don't see much from Reynolds, but he definitely had a off night with the boot, that's for sure. Victor Radley topped the tackle count for the Roosters with 49 tackles.
Not surprising.
Not surprising at all. Payne Haas ran for over 200 metres, and man, Joey Manu, he's
a gun.
He seems to be getting better every week, mate. And not carrying the Roosters on his shoulders, but he's getting them out of trouble sometimes, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and you can tell Cleary's getting back to his best, just putting them in the right positions, especially with his kick. And young Walker there, his goal kicking, he's not been a renowned goal kicker, but he kept them in the game, especially at clutch moments when he needed to convert from the side, out wide, and he managed to get it over. So, well done to the Roosters. It hurts me to say that, but Broncos, they were the better team for most of the game. 10-0 at half time. It wasn't until the 73rd and 76th minute that the Roosters scored some late tries, and then Corey Oates got another one in the 78th in between those. At the end of that, but it just wasn't enough. Broncos
did he end
getting
up with a hat-trick, Steve?
Corey Yates, he did get a hat-trick, so he had a pretty good game, as did Katoni Staggs. He was a beast in this game. What
a brilliant solo try that was by him.
Yeah, there'd been a lot of criticism leading up to this game that he didn't get involved enough last week, and he was just everywhere in this game. So he really stood up and was to be counted in this particular run out.
Definitely, he had a big game.
So that was the Broncos losing to the Roosters. Then we move on to the Saturday game, the Storm up against the Raiders at Wagga Wagga, that's where the Raiders took their game. And in this one, it was the Storm just, way too classy for Canberra. It was, in some parts of the game, almost like a training drill for the Storm. They just seemed to be know everything that was coming at them, that the Raiders threw at them, and just seemed to get in their shapes, and everyone was just on their game. Everyone just does their role, and they're just so clinical.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect from the Raiders anymore this year.
Yeah.
I don't know what sort of a team's going to turn up. Although I got to say, the spine of Melbourne Storm, mate, what class?
Yeah,
from
big time.
9 to 1, man, with the likes of Munster, Pappenhausen, Grant, and
Jerome Hughes.
Man. I mean, that's a star-studded spine if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, and Jerome Hughes got a double. Pappenhausen gets his customary try and was 5 from 5 in his conversions. But Canberra just didn't throw anything at them. Some poor defence there against Munster, letting them straight through from. Melbourne just seemed to score tries from anywhere in the park. They're not just specialists, in attacking in the 20. Give them good ball area, and they can just click it into gear and seem to be able to break you apart.
Only positive for the Raiders is Joseph Tarpany topped the tackle count with 40 tackles.
Yeah, well, not surprising that a Canberra player topped the tackle count, because Melbourne just seemed to dominate in possession and field position. So they're well too good for the Raiders in that particular match. All right, then we push on to the other Saturday game, the game that I was at. The Rabbitohs up against the Dragons. And
Glory to South Sydney.
I've got to say, this was not a good game to watch. It was scrappy, it was ugly at times, very error-riddled, but the only thing that went in South's favour is that the Dragons made more errors than the Rabbitohs did. 24-12, South dominated early and had much the better of field position, better of possession, but couldn't convert that into points. They were only 6-0 up, which was after 5 minutes. But then it wasn't until very late in the game, in that first half, that Koloamatangi got over for a try and got us to a 10-0 halftime lead. And the Dragons early on squandered some really opportunity, like try scoring opportunities. A no-look pass from Lomax was unnecessary. All he had to do was look where he was passing, and his inside man, I think it was his fullback, was under the post for a try, but the pass went astray and bombed what looked like a certain try. But yeah, their handling and their both teams, the completion rates were well below par, and the 11,332 fans at Accor Stadium were not very impressed, I can tell you, from both teams.
Yeah. Another game I enjoyed. I got to watch this, and I honestly, this is my standout try. Little cookie.
Yeah.
Dummy half. Onto Graham. Graham back into who else?
Latrell.
That was a brilliant try by the Bunnies. I thought Damien Cook had one of his best games.
Yes, agreed. Him and Cameron Murray.
Yeah, making 50 tackles as well. Not only doing a lot of attacking work, but a lot of defensive work. And I thought little Ilias, Steve, was a bit of a breakthrough game for him. I thought he played much better than he's played in the previous weeks.
Yeah, I thought Ilias did everything that was asked of him. He threw some brilliant passes. The pass for Koloamatangi to crash over late in that second half was a brilliant pass, and he does nothing wrong. He doesn't let you down at any point in the game, so he's definitely standing up and showing what he's got as a halfback. As I mentioned, Latrell went off early in this game, had that hamstring tear, but it was a problem that was affecting him during the week because South carried or put Taff in on the bench, knowing that Latrell might not make it through the game, and that proved true. And Taff came on, and he's one of those players that just is an energizer bunny. It doesn't matter what he's doing it at 110%. So you don't lose a lot. Yeah.
So young too.
So 24-12, good to get the 2 points for South, but as I said, not a game that you'll be watching back in a hurry. So South's winning 24-12 in that one. Then we push on to the game that you were most interested in this week, and that was obviously the Eels up against the Titans. Titans home game here at Seabar Super Stadium on the Gold Coast, 14,478 fans, and there was a lot of Parramatta fans in the crowd there for that one, which was this was probably the game of the round for me. It was a very exciting, on the edge of your seat game. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, there was a pitch invader who created a bit of controversy with the way that she was dealt with by the security guard, who put on a stellar tackle.
She got crash tackled by him, yeah.
Big time. But personally, no sympathy there. If you're going to be an idiot and run on the field, you cop what you get.
That's the consequence.
Man or woman.
That's what's going to happen.
Doesn't matter, man or woman. But Mitchell Moses' reaction to that. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
with the referee. That was really funny.
Everyone was like, someone please show us a video. I want to see what happened. What was his reaction about?
Yeah, when I saw him do that, I go to the person I bet you they just crash tackled somebody.
Yeah. So that was, but as I said, that was one of the stupid things that happened during the game, as was a moment that you were very upset about, which was Paulo's sin binning.
Still in shock.
Yeah, his tackle on AJ Brimson was brutal, but personally I don't think it was anything illegal. I was kind of shocked that he got sin bin. Penalty may be sufficient because there was a little bit of incidental contact after the fact, but that's more of the whiplash effect that his tackle had on AJ Brimson rather than him actually first contact to the head. So I was shocked that he got sin binned, and Brimson himself was saying, "Mate, it's my shoulder, it's my shoulder." So he legitimately stayed down for an injury. He wasn't milking it to try to get the penalty.
But it wasn't a head injury.
But it wasn't a head injury. And then the thing here is that angers me is that if the bunker says it was direct contact to the head and therefore sufficient for a sin bin, then why didn't the doctor from the independent doctor ask for AJ Brimson then to be taken off for a HIA? Because if it's direct contact with the head and it was that forceful for him to be sin binned, then he should have been taken off. But he played throughout the game and continued on till the 80th minute.
Yeah. Look, it was honestly, I don't know what they were looking at, Steve. I'm not going to go out and say. I am in my eyes. I thought it was a pretty disgraceful call.
Yeah.
We're only talking about this because it's a para game, but I thought over the whole round there was a few calls, high shot calls and the crusher calls. Yeah, the crusher calls that were overzealous, didn't even warrant a penalty. Or I understand it's the rule, but at some stage we gotta
have a feel for the game.
Use our eyes and have a feel for the game,
that common sense.
See how it happens. How Junior Paulo got sin bin here, I will never ever know. And apparently he is now being charged and he's facing 1 week suspension if he takes the early guilty plea. And I ask you, for what? What is he getting suspended for? For tackling the bloke hard? Anyway, there was also an incident in the Friday night game, the game before the 6 o'clock game, the Warriors, where the exact same thing happened, and it was just a penalty. I mean, I don't mind calls, but we just got to get it right, mate. We have to get the decision right.
Yeah, well, you're never going to get consistency because different people see different things, and even if the tackles look similar, they're completely different in the context of their games, in the players' positions, and everything like that. So you can't. It's really hard to compare tackles with other tackles.
Judging whether it was
sin
illegal or intentional.
Yeah.
I think we should be able to do that.
Well, I don't think there's any intent in any player's mind to go out and tackle the head of a player. It's usually reckless or careless.
Correct.
And
unless it's a full-on swinging arm.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Like something you expect from Aurea Hargreaves. But I don't think if there's any intent, it's usually a little bit reckless or careless in their style or their attempt of making a tackle. But anyway, that was a bit of a controversial one, and a lot of fans were kind of bemused at how that ended up being a sin bin. But
King Gutherson got a double that night.
Yeah, he did.
Well done to him. I thought, again, our standout players were Little Dylan Brown, Mitchell Moses, and I thought Will Penasini had a big game.
Yeah, he did have a great game.
Centers.
Yeah, that was a great battle out wide.
And just a little bit of a stat here, so you know the difference. Okay, our forward, Parramatta Eels forward pack, altogether combined, ran for a total of 980 metres. Their Titans forward back combined altogether ran for 550.
Yeah, that's nearly double.
They had a big game, our forward pack, so props out to them.
Yeah, exactly. All right, then we'll move on to the Sunday game. This was played at PointsBet Stadium, Shark Park, if you like, in front of 11,500 fans. This was pretty much a foregone conclusion in my mind that the Sharks would end up taking the Tigers. And the score, 30-4 is a pretty big effort. But I thought the Sharks were a little bit lackluster. I didn't think that they showed any respect to the Tigers. Not that the Tigers earn respect, but any games, of NRL game, you need to take, go in with your best effort. And I thought early on that the Sharks were kind of just expecting to win, just to rock up and it would happen. And, it was only 14-0 at half time. And that was only late in that first half that they actually got to that score. But yeah, the Tigers are just woeful, really. They've just got nothing going for them. The balls are hitting the ground. It's like they don't know how to talk to each other. No one seems to be communicating. And Mamalo, while he had scored a try, and the only try for the Tigers,
made some bad decisions.
Geez, he just looked like he was, can I be somewhere else, please?
Yeah, I know. He didn't look like he wanted to be there on the day. Look, Tigers, man, what can I say? I believe we tipped them as wooden spooners. And every game that goes by, I can see that we were right on the money there, because I just can't see anything from them. And they don't look like, you talked about Mamalo, the whole team looks like they don't want to be there at the moment.
Yeah.
And, something goes against them and their heads just drop, and, it's like, they have no belief in themselves. They don't think they can get back into it or score a try. The Sharks were on fire, Steve, but they weren't at their best either. So I think that shines on how bad the Tigers really were. Sione Katoa got in for a double for the Sharkies that day, so a good effort from him. And Jacob Little was top try scorer with only 37 tackles for them.
You mean top tackler?
Yep.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Top try scorer.
Sorry, Jacob Little was top tackler with only 37 tackles.
Yeah, and for the amount of ball that the Sharks had, you'd think there would be a higher tackle count for the Tigers.
For sure.
But that just shows how many missed tackles they tallied up. So
yeah, I think they tallied up 30 missed tackles, which is just not good enough for first-grade standards.
Not at all. All right. Then we look ahead to the final game. I just want to point out at this point that I'm 7 out of 7 in my tips so far in this, what we've done. So I'm doing really well. And
I'm 6 out of 7.
And then this game I had no problem with whatsoever as well. Getting 8 out of 8 for this round. Tipping the Panthers to beat the Bulldogs. And they well and truly did. 32-12. Bulldogs were gutsy in that they never really gave up. They don't just kind of drop their bundle like the Tigers do.
They never do. They never give up.
But they just not good enough compared to what the Panthers have. The Panthers were, they're just class all over the park. They're a little bit cocky. Luai was in the face of Flanagan all day, all night, just giving it to him every time the Panthers scored. But Flanagan, to his credit, he stood up. He put Luai on the seat of his pants in one really good tackle.
Gave it back to him a couple of times.
And then put up a kick that Luai dropped right on the goal line that led to a Bulldogs try.
Yeah. Look, I really like Luai, Steve, but someone needs to give him a lesson in humility, I think, right about now, because I just feel like he takes it a little bit too far.
I agree.
Yeah.
Totally. And he's, again, pulling tacklers off off the ruck, which is illegal. And last week he got penalised when he did that. Playing South, but refs seem to kind of turn a blind eye to some of his antics. But Cleary was just all class, leading him around the park. Yo is he's just another class above as far as footballers are concerned. And Taylor May out there, unknown before a couple of weeks ago, scored the first try for the Panthers. Dylan Edwards just takes hit up after hit up. Where on the flip side, you've got Dufty, who just missed his assignment on so many occasions.
He had an absolute shocker.
He did.
I've never seen a worse game from a fullback.
Josh Jackson was setting him up for an outside-inside pass, and he just realised he was going to get into a bit of a collision, so he gave up on it. And the ball went. It was just so poor. It's so disappointing to see what a classy player can be, just not put his hand up to try.
And here is Josh Jackson tipping 60 tackles in that game, and you just give up on a play. He was the top tackler with 60 things, and Dufty had an absolute shocker, man. I don't know where he was or what he was doing. You mentioned Dylan Edwards. He ran for 240 metres again. I don't know where he gets his legs from, this bloke. That's
the difference. You got one fullback running for 240 metres and involving himself in every set of the Panthers when they've had the ball. Yet Dufty is like never sniffing around the forwards for an offload, never trying to get any second phase going, and was tackled once, I think, in the first half.
The Panthers spine, just all class, man. Luai, Cleary, Api Coruscant, Dylan Edwards. You can't beat them, mate. You can't beat them with the forwards around there, and their defence is almost unbreakable most of the time. And like you said, I think Flanagan deserves a shout out, because I thought he had a really strong game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets picked there again moving forward, because he was one of their better players, and there was a lot of people upset at the fact that Flanagan had been put into this game, and it was almost like being set up to fail coming up against the Panthers. But if anything, I actually think that he stood up and was one of their better players, and it deserves to be picked again.
For sure. 100%.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do there.
Can I just give which way do I go? This way. Could I just give a quick shout out to my mate? Where is it?
Who are you pointing out at?
Go the Panthers, Alex. Look, they're behind me this time.
There you go. Panthers undefeated at this point in the season. Tigers still to get a win, and this is the ladder at this point.
Dogs.
No, I'm saying the Tigers yet to get a win.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so
bad luck to the Dogs too on that.
But Dogs were, like I said, gutsy. But here's the ladder. At the moment, we've got the Panthers sitting on 10 points in first place. The Sharks jumping up to second place on for and against, equal with the Storm and the Eels. And then you've got the Roosters, Manly, Warriors on 6 points, Cowboys on 4 points, just ahead of the Rabbits, and Titans and Knights and Broncos and the Raiders all on 4 points. And then you got the Dragons, the Bulldogs on 2, and the hapless Tigers sitting on 0 points with minus 64 differential at the end of round 5.
Welcome to the cellar dweller, Tigers.
Yes. All right, so now we look ahead to the upcoming round, and this is what we have to look forward to, and we'll give our tips on the upcoming games. And we start with the first game of round 6, and that is, I'll just bring it up here, game 1 of this new round, and we've got, turn off the ladder there, the Raiders up against the Cowboys. This is 13th versus 8th, and this will be played at GIO Stadium in Canberra, Thursday night, 7:50 p.m. kickoff.
Must win for both teams, mate, early in the season.
Very much so. Just on recent form, I think I might tip the Cowboys here.
Yeah, look, I've picked all my tips before our show today, so I don't have to think too much. I'm going Raiders here.
Raiders, okay. Then we push on to the second game of the round, and that is the Good Friday Challenge. That's a staple in the rugby league calendar, and that is the Rabbitohs up against the Bulldogs, played at 4 p.m. And should be a big crowd, bumper crowd there, with the Easter show happening next door at a core stadium.
Wow, I love the Good Friday clash between these two teams every year. Really just really get really pumped for it, man. It's always a real good game. So hopefully it'll be a tight one, and may the best team win.
Well, I'm tipping the Rabbitohs. I think that they should definitely beat the Bulldogs, but they won't be easy beats.
I've got the Rabbits too.
Okay. Then we push on to Game 3, and this is a bumper game. The Panthers up against the Broncos. This is at Bluebet Stadium in Penrith. The Friday night game, 7:55 p.m. kickoff. Broncos improved team this year, but I think the Panthers will continue their winning streak, and I'm tipping the Panthers to just beat the Broncos.
Yeah, I think everyone needs the Panthers' winning streak to stop, but I don't think it's going to be against the Broncos, so I'm going with the Panthers here.
Okay, so that's Game 3. Game 4 is the Manly Sea Eagles at home. Well, actually, 4 Pines Park at home against the Titans. And this is at 5:30 p.m. on Saturday. And this will be a close game. The Titans are playing a good brand of football. Manly are still without Tom Trbojevic. They're a class outfit, Manly, when they're on their game. But so can the Titans. I think this will be a close one. I'm going to just say Manly just.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, going with Manly.
I got Manly to win in a tie game.
Okay. Then Game 5 of the round. This is the Saturday third game of the Super Saturday 3 games. This is another great game. This is second versus third. The Storm up against the Sharks. This is at Amy Park in Melbourne, which will probably, for me, tip it in Storm's favour. They are nearly undefeatable in Melbourne. And the Sharks, while they did a number on the Tigers, they weren't that classy compared to what the Storm have been showing in recent weeks.
For sure.
So Storm for me.
Stuff, Cronulla. I'm picking Melbourne, mate. Picking Melbourne here.
Okay. And then we go to Game 6 of this round, and that is the Roosters up against the Warriors. This is played at the Sydney Cricket Ground on Sunday, Easter Sunday, at 2 p.m, 5th versus 7th. While the Warriors were pretty good in their last outing this past weekend, I'm going to tip the Roosters to win in this one.
Yep, I said to you recently that I need to tip with my brain and not my heart. Whilst I would love to see Warriors get another win,
wouldn't we all?
I'm tipping the Roosters.
Yeah, would love to see the Warriors do a number on the Roosters, but not going to happen in my opinion. And then the other Sunday afternoon game, again, this one played in Wynn Stadium at Wollongong, 4:05 p.m. kickoff. Dragons up against the Knights. Wow. This is like flip a coin for me, because Dragons were pretty poor against the Rabbitohs this past weekend, and the Knights weren't that great either in their outing. I think I might just go with the Dragons here to bounce back from what was a pretty poor outfit.
Smart move, Stevie. Yeah, I'm going Dragons here too at home.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah. All right. So we're both in agreement on that one. And then the final game of the round. This is one that I'll be at, and I think you will too as well.
The Easter Monday Massacre.
You think so? Okay. Well, it's not one that's a difficult one to tip. Eels up against the Tigers, 4 p.m. on the Monday, as you said, at CommBank Stadium, which is both teams' home ground at certain times. But it will definitely be a blue and gold army out there outnumbering the West Tigers. I think the Eels by a lot.
Okay, yeah, look, I feel a bit sorry for the Tigers, and whilst I hope they get a win soon, it's not going to be this Monday because when I said massacre, I was just joking. I think the Eels will just be too strong on the day and win in a good game.
Oh, it'll be 13 plus for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, especially if the Eels continue on the fantastic form and Tigers just haven't been showing up. Their defence is just not up to scratch.
For sure. It could be devastating, but let's hope they turn up and make it a good game.
Yeah. All right, well, that is the review and preview for this week. Anything you want to finish off with? Any last-minute comments?
No, just I had a great evening talking to you about footy, and I said this to you this morning. I actually starting to really love Mondays.
Now that we're doing the podcast.
With a bounce in my step, because I know me and Steve are going to be talking footy tonight.
Yeah. So looking forward to this weekend's round of games, Easter weekend games. Kids are on holidays from school. The Easter show's happening. People are getting out there. Hopefully the weather holds off and gives us some good bumper crowds for some exciting footy this Easter weekend. Get out and support your team if you can. I'll be out at a number of games this weekend, so looking forward to it. But thanks for watching the Chip and Chase NRL Fan Podcast. Thanks to all of those guys and girls who are subscribing to our YouTube channel to watch the show each week. We really appreciate your support. We'll be back on Monday to wrap up this week's coming games and look ahead to the next week. But thanks again for watching. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Happy Easter.
Yep.
Have a good weekend.
All the best.